Okay, so far we have gone over the substitution method. We've talked about the different type of solutions a system could have. So today we're going to go over some word problems just to give you guys some more practice with that. So let's read the problem together. And remember, whatever I'm writing or circling, you are doing the same. So you purchase a drink and a sandwich for $4.50. Oh, okay. For $4.50. Your friend purchases a drink and 5 sandwiches for $16.50. I'm just gonna change the color. So a drink and a sandwich for $4.50, and then your friend purchases a drink, 1 drink, and 5 sandwiches for $16.50. You want to determine the price of a drink and the price of a sandwich. So we have to define our variables. And I'm just changing the color. So we don't know the price of just 1 drink. So I'm just going to label that X. Price of a drink. Not too much on my handwriting. And then Y, what do y'all think is gonna be? What do you think that's gonna be? Y should equal the price. I'm gonna just do $sign of sandwich. Most definitely did not spell that right. So now that we have our variables defined, we can make our equation. So we know that we did, or you purchased a drink. So just 1 drink. And then you also purchased 1 sandwich. And that equals $4.50. So that's the cost of a sandwich and a drink, but we don't know the individual ones. So now let's do our friend. Your friend purchased 1 drink. And how many sandwiches did he purchase? Or your friend purchase? Yep, 5 sandwiches. And that equals $16.50. And we want to determine the price of the drink and the sandwich. And we're going to do this with the substitution method. So that means we want to solve either equation in terms of either X or Y. So I'm going to solve this equation. And I want X to equal something. So let's do that. Right now we have X. We have X plus Y equals $4.50. And if we just want X by itself, we're going to subtract Y from both sides. So X is going to equal 450 minus Y. And now we can substitute this into our equation because we know what X is. So let's go back. Everywhere we see X, we're going to plug in 4.50 minus Y. So I see 1X right there. So 450 minus Y plus 5Y equals 1650. So combine our like terms, we get 450. And then I have a negative Y plus 5Y It's going to be a positive 4y equals 1650. We want that y by itself, remember. So we have to subtract 450 from both sides. And these are little decimals. So we get 4y equals 12. So that means we're going to divide by 4 from both sides. And y equals 3. I know it's a little sloppy, y'all. I'm literally writing with my finger in my laptop. So now we have what y is, and we want to know what x is. So if y'all remember, we already solved for x. So now we just have to plug in our y. So x equals 450 minus, we know what y is 3. So that means x is equal to 450 minus 3, and that's just going to be 150. And if we look back to what we defined our variables as, we see that x is the price of the drink. So that means the price of the drink is 150. And the price of the sandwich is $3 because that was our y. Any questions? So I want you guys to start working on that second problem. What did you define your x as, and what did you define your y as? Okay, so you guys should have already read the problem, but I am still going to do that with you all. A business with 2 locations buys 7 large delivery vans and 5 small delivery vans. Location A receives, I'm gonna change the color, 5 large vans, 2 small vans, for a total cost of, oh, I see this word cost, 235,000. Location B receives 2 large vehicles or 2 large vans and 3 small vans for a total of 160,000. Total cost of 160,000. What is the cost of each type of van? So in this case, we're going to be making 2 equations. But first, we have to define our variables. So I already asked you what you would define your variables, and let's see if you guys were right. So for X, I said large vans. And for Y, small vans. Then we want to make our equations. I'm going to give you guys a minute to see if you can make your own equation. So what would be your first equation? Okay, so right now you should have attempted to write your first equation, so now we're going to go over it. So we know that for location A, they have 5 large bands. So that's 5x plus, and then how many small bands does location have? It's 2y, and their total cost is equal to, see, total cost is not a variable. Total cost is not going to be y because we already know what that value is. So that value is not unknown to us. We know that the total cost is going to be 235,000. So that is why that's not y. But we do not know how many or the amount charged for each large van or the small van as well. So now let's write our second equation. So location B receives 2 large, and they also receive 3 small for 160,000. Now we have our equations, and we want to know the cost of each type of van. And in this case, we don't want to know when it's the same. So if we were asking when these were the same, then we would set them equal to each other, but that's not what the question is asking. It wants to know the cost of each type of van. So that means we have to substitute one of our equations into the other, but we can't do that because they're not in terms of either x or y. So we have to solve for either x or y. So I just did the bottom equation just because it had smaller numbers. So let's do that together. We're going to be getting this equation in terms of x, and you can use your calculator. I actually encourage you to use your calculator because I did as well. So we had 2x plus 3y equals 1. Oh, that's supposed to be a 0. Okay, so here I'm gonna ask you to solve for x. Okay, so you guys should have already solved for x. Now we're just gonna check your work. So you're gonna subtract 3y from both sides. 2x equals, and you have to divide both sides by 2. So x should equal 80,000 minus 3 over 2y. And we're just going to substitute that back in to our other equation. We're going to change the color. So wherever we see an x, we're going to plug in 80,000 minus 3 over 2y. Nope, I see an x. Plus 2y equals, now we got to simplify. Like I said, feel free to use your calculators. Remember, if I'm writing, you're writing too. So I have 400,000 minus 15y over 2 plus 2y equals 235,000. So let's simplify our like terms. 400,000, and then negative 15 over 2y plus 2y. Use your calculators. I don't want you messing up on your math. So that's going to be a negative 11 over 2y. Oh man, I'm running out of room. So you're going to subtract. Now at this point, where you have 400,000 minus 11 over 2y equals 235,000. I know it's big numbers, but you're going to do as you would with any other problem, with any other equation. You're going to subtract 400,000 from both sides. And yes, you will get a negative number. And I'm going to have to move over to another section because I'm running out of room. So I'm going to go over here. But if you have room, continue writing in line. I'm only moving over because I ran out of room. Equals, and that's going to equal negative 165,000. So then you're going to divide both sides by negative 2, by negative 11 over 2. I'm sorry. And y will equal 60 over 11. Oh, I'm so sorry. That is wrong. I'm sorry, y'all. Usually I don't have phones in class, but I'm in my house. That's going to equal 30,000. So now we have what y equals all the way down here. Y equals 30,000. In order to find our x, we're just going to plug y back in. So we can plug y into the equation we already solved. So into here. And I'm honestly running out of room. And you guys are very familiar with plugging in things. So I'm just going to write the final answer, and I expect that you guys to show all of your work. So x at the end should equal 35,000. And I would have shown y'all, but I literally ran out of room. But if you plug y into this equation right here, you'll get 35,000, or you should get 35,000. Use your calculator if you need to use your calculator. So that means the cost for large fans is 35,000, and the cost for small vans is 30,000. I know it's a lot going on. So if you have any questions, please be prepared to ask me on Friday. Two more problems, two more problems. I'm literally making this video at like 1 in the morning. So I'm sorry if I sound a little drained. Okay, one more. Well, actually, two more. This one's not that bad. Okay, the sum of two numbers is 22. The difference, so that means you're subtracting, is 6. What are the two numbers? So we're going to have to define our variables. So usually, like always, you're just going to use x and y. So x is going to equal some positive number because we know it's going to equal something positive, and when you subtract, it's going to be positive as well. So we know that x is going to be some positive number, and we know that y is going to be some positive number. Okay, so let's write our equations. Just stop in here. What do you guys think the first equation is going to be? So it talks about the sum of two numbers. We already defined our variables. Is 22. So if the sum of two numbers is 22, what do you guys think that first equation is going to be? Okay, and if you put x plus y equals 22, you would be right. That is our first equation. And if you may have not gotten that first equation right, what do you think this second equation is going to be? Type it in now. If you put x minus 2 equals 6, you would be right. Okay, we're going to use the substitution method to find out what those two numbers are. So I always go with the smallest number or the simplest equation to solve for x. So that's pretty easy, you're just going to add y to both sides. So you would get x equals 6 plus y. And if you guys are confused on how I got that, we're just going to rewrite it. And in order to get x by itself, you add y to both sides. And boom, that's how we get here. So now we're going to substitute x equals 6 plus y into our first equation. So enter right there. Anywhere we see an x, we're going to put 6 plus y. So 6 plus y equals 22. We have to combine our like terms before we can do anything. So that's going to be 1y plus 1y is 2y equals 22. Let me erase some of these stray marks. Okay. So to get that y by itself, we have to subtract 6 from both sides. 2y equals, what is it going to equal, guys? 16 divided by 2, divided by 2. And y is going to equal a positive 8. Now we know what y is, but we do not know what x is. Look, we already wrote an equation in terms of x, so we can plug that y back into that equation. So let's do that. So x equals 6, and we know what y is, it's 8. So let's plug in 8. So that means 8 is equal to 14. And we can check our work. So it said the sum of two positive numbers is 22. So 14 plus 8. Would you look at that? That's 22. Not done. What's 14 minus 8? Would you look at that? That's 6. So that means that x is equal to, I don't even know if y'all can see that color. X is equal to 14 and y is equal to 8. Ooh, my brain is fried, y'all. So our ordered pair or our solution is 14.8. Pause if you don't have it. You should have been writing when I was writing. One more to go. Okay, so the problem says to describe and correct the error in solving for one that's supposed to be of the variables in the linear system 4x plus 3y equals 8 and x minus 2y equals, excuse me, negative 13. So I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to say what you guys think is the error. Then we're going to go over it. Okay. So it looks like they wrote out the system. Over here, they wrote out the system. That's all they did. And now to start solving, I see that they multiplied negative 4 to the second equation. But oops. I see that they multiply negative 4 to the first term. They multiply negative 4 to the second term. But I do not see that they multiply negative 4 to the last term. And so if they're doing the elimination method, remember you got to multiply that least common multiple to every single value, and they did not do that. So that was their error and it messed up the answer. So now we have to correct their work. So I'm just going to draw a little dotted line. So negative 4x plus 8y equals, and remember, it's negative 13 times negative 4. Negative times a negative is positive, and that's 52. Okay, okay. So we're going to add both of these equations. 4x plus a negative 4x or 4x minus 4x cancels out. And then 3y plus 11 plus, oop, told y'all the answer. 3y plus 8y is 11y. And then 8 plus 52 is 60. To get y by itself, we divide both sides by 11. And y is going to equal 60 divided by 11. And we're just going to leave it like that. Ain't no point of putting that as a decimal. We're going to leave it straight like that. And so we have our y, but we do not know our x. So we're going to just plug it back in. So I'm going to plug it back into this bottom one. So we don't know what x is, but we do know what y is. 60 over 11 equals negative 13. Simplify. And like I said, you can use your calculator. And then we're going to add 120 over 11 to both sides. Plus 120 over 11. Ran out of room, so I'm just going to write it over here. And if you put that in your calculator, you should get x equals negative 23 over 11. And remember the solution, I want a point. What's that point going to be? Negative 23 over 11, comma, 60, 11. Ooh, child. Okay, we're done. Remember, big ideas. Y'all should have more than enough time in class to complete your big ideas. I hope that your bell work is completed and submitted. If you don't complete either of those things, it is homework. This video, of course, should be completed. But if you do not complete your big ideas, it is homework. See you guys tomorrow. Have an amazing day. I miss you guys so much.